Hey, welcome y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 54 for Thursday, June 23rd, 2016. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, joined in the PETM Podcast studio, as always, by Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's happening, man?
You know what? Happy to be here again. Very happy to see this wonderful stuff in front of me. Very excited to talk about doing the right and the lefty thing.
The right and the left?
Excited to talk about those young guns and maybe old but fresher to NASCAR than some of the older guns. I don't know what we call it.
Yeah. Oh.
Open wheeler turned fender driver.
Just put all the adjectives together.
Yeah, something.
I'll
come up with something eventually.
Word salad there. I believe we called this episode last year. Now that we have over a year's worth of episodes, I believe we called it Ambiturners. So we're going to have to come up with something even better this time.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
That's like the hipster racing
right?
word.
Yeah.
Which I've used before, and I don't really have a problem with. But
well, what you drinking
today?
Don't
want to repeat. Well, I think you're very aware because you got it for me. Drinking a big old bomber of Guinness Extra Stout.
The extra,
not just the draft, y'all. This is the real stuff.
Well, he's wearing the Dos Equis shirt too, so
oh yeah,
that's a lot of beer brand loyalty going on.
Well, I'm very interesting.
That's right. The Guinness Extra Stout. So here's the thing: today, Great Britain votes on whether or not they leave the European Union.
I heard such.
I figured I'm not going to get political on here. You know, they're a sovereign nation. They can make their own decisions without having the input of some redneck out here in Atlanta, Georgia. But I figured I'd at least give them some props and say, hey, good for you. Doing whatever. Stay, leave. Should I stay or should I go?
So
I don't know,
question is,
but we're going to drink Guinness in honor of them.
Yeah, so how linked at the hip are the Great Britain and the United Kingdom and all that stuff? And how does that – because they all have a little bit different currency outside of England, right? A little bit, maybe not as strong as the pound.
Outside, the rest of the European Union's using the euro.
Yeah. Well, I want to give a big shout out to the Republic of Ireland for beating Italy in the Euro Cup yesterday.
Hello.
So Guinness and Irish right there.
Yeah, everything. Got everything going on.
Hell of a goal. I think it was scored in extra time. Great goal. It was awesome. And they're going to the next round because of it. They are through, as the Europeans say.
Well then. What'd you do for Father's Day? We're coming off a kind of a no-cup weekend. But
we talked about what we thought we were going to do.
Yep.
I followed through with what I thought I was going to do. I smoked a 7.5-pound Boston butt all day on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
And then took it to Mom and Dad's house. And we had a straight-up Southern as it gets, afternoon supper. We had barbecue sandwiches, and Mom made Brunswick stew and homemade slaw.
The Sherwin family recipe for Brunswick stew, y'all. I mean, I'm pretty proud of everything I cook and everything that my family's ever cooked, but you can't touch that recipe. That's something else. So
yeah, the stew was really good. The slaw was also really good. My dad likes his slaw sweet, but he likes it with mayonnaise, which is typically Southern. I happen to like the sweet vinegary based, like Italian dressing based slaw really well too. That's kind of a northern thing. But my mom doesn't like it really sweet. She's like me, so she cut half the sugar out, and I was like, "This is good slaw."
There you go.
I could eat this slaw again.
Well, my daddy lives a long way away. Our esteemed producer and my wife, the Frizz 11, her dad was gone on vacation somewhere, so we just cooked ribs with me and the Frizz 11 and her sister.
Can't go wrong with ribs.
And her sister's fiance. Yeah. Actually, her sister's fiance didn't show up. That's right. He missed out. No show. Yep. I think he was napping or something. So napping on the job.
just bed poop.
Yeah. So I just got back from D.C. Again, as usual. When we do this on Thursday, that means Rusty's been farting around in D.C. again, or Silver Spring, Maryland. Home of the luxurious and exquisite seafood restaurant, the Red Lobster.
Oh, the Red Lobster. Yeah. Home of the Red Lobster.
Oh, good stuff.
Bet Cheddar Bay biscuits, man.
Mm-hmm. But on my way back, I was on the plane, and I always get window seat because all I do is plug in podcasts into my ear holes and plant my face onto the window just to watch stuff go by. And I notice what didn't look like, if you're a race fan, you know what what it is. It's a racetrack. And you're like, that's a racetrack right there, and that ain't no local dirt quarter mile, eighth mile, half mile. That's rootin' tootin'. That's a speedway. That's paved. It's got camping spots around it. So I looked at it. I took a picture, and it was hard to see because it's so far away or whatever. So I took a picture, and then I looked on my flight path and saw where we were right over this, sort of middle-ish.
Was it sort of eastern upstate South Carolina?
South Carolina, as a matter of fact. So
what track's over there?
Ended up taking a picture of Darlington. So that was really
so
cool. Posted it on the old Twitter box, so y'all go take a look at it. I think we both retweeted or whatever. But, yeah, it was really neat to see that and then kind of go, I'm pretty sure that's Darlington. And then you sort of, like you said earlier, zoom in, and you're like, that's that egg shape right there. There's no doubt that's Darlington right there. So pretty neat just to be flying right over the top of Darlington. And I said I can't wait for Labor Day, be 30,000 feet closer to it.
That's right. We're less than 3 months away from Darlington, the throwback race.
Throwback
weekend. We love being there. And I think we also are kind of excited and nervous for the challenge of figuring out how to watch Georgia Tech play Boston College in Ireland at 8:30 in the morning on the Saturday.
True.
That'll be, well, I guess we'll have to behave ourselves to some degree on Friday night when we get there. But it's all good.
So I'm getting made fun of for the gray hair. I guess I usually wear a hat. I need to put on a hat. There we go.
Put on the hat.
Yeah, I've been going gray since I was 18 years old, so nothing new to me. So I've got an early shout out here.
Oh.
So we'll take the sheep. Oh, Papa Wallace gave me a call the other day. My dad.
Wallace.
Yep, my dad.
Popeye Patrick Wallace Sr.
Wallace Sr. gave me a call, and he says, hey, you missed something on episode 53. And I'm like, Dad, you listen to the podcast? Sure, it's about losing.
That was a safe time to take a drink. I was wrong.
He says, yeah. Oh, well, that's great. That's awesome. Good. I hope I didn't say anything stupid. And he says, episode 53, man, the 53 car is Herbie the Love Bug. And I said,
crap.
You're right.
That is so right.
Yeah.
How did we miss that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Herbie the Love Bug. And then he said, number 2, by the way, is you need to talk about Car 54. So this week is episode 54.
That was a sitcom or a drama in like the 70s or something,
in the
right?
60s,
1961. Car 54. It was a police drama, right?
Yep.
I've heard my parents talk about
That's
it.
awesome. So he called me and he said, now you got to talk about Car 54 on the next episode. All right, Daddy, I'll do that. And it's called Car 54, Where Are You? Is the name of the show. Yep. And 2 NYPD officers. I wrote their names down, Gunther Tootie and Francis Muldoon, which is kind of neat.
So American television wanted a Gunther in 1965 or whatever.
So at that same time, there was a fellow named Jimmy Pardue who was driving in the number 54 car in NASCAR. He had 144 races in the 50s and 60s. He had 2 wins, 27 top 5s, and he raced while that show was going on. And he had a sticker on his car that said, now the name of the show is Car 54, Where Are You? He had a sticker on his car that said, Here I Am. So
that's pretty daggone
cool,
funny.
Yeah, that's a cool kind of shout out.
That's the right kind of humor.
Yep. So some good old-fashioned NASCAR plus pop culture plus everything, and appreciate old Daddy giving me the old phone call, and thank you for listening and all that. Of course, I think one more Car 54 that is worth talking about a little bit at least is the old dominating 54 car in the Xfinity series, that Gibbs car. That I don't know how many races that number has won.
Well, that was Kyle and Kurt racing the Monster sponsored car, right?
That was the old
so
Monster.
So it started.
Car.
Remember, it was Kyle Busch Motorsports,
right? That was a KBM,
and he didn't win in it. Kurt did. That was when Kurt was still in limbo and didn't really have a full-time Cup ride. Was still trying to sort out his mistake with Jerry Punch at Homestead. Bigger than a mistake. I don't want to overlook it. That was a big deal. But he wins in the car, and then Kyle basically gives up on Xfinity, or Nationwide at the time. And it showed everybody how hard it was to start on your own and win in the series.
Yep.
Because basically he sold all the equipment to the 54 car to Joe Gibbs, and then that turned into a Joe Gibbs car the next year, and they won everything.
You're right. Yep.
And for whatever reason, Monster pulled the money for the lower series stuff and went all in on Kurt in Cup. So the 54 went back to being either the 18 or the 20 or the 19 or however you want to say they mixed it up. But, that they pulled the 54 and went back to the traditional Gibbs numbers and then the new 19 that they added since Carl showed up.
So, quick update, as usual, when we do this right here. If you're new to the podcast, we sponsor a car out in Lee County Speedway, Iowa. Driver's name, old retired U.S. Marine Sergeant Kenny Smith in the 24K PETM podcast car out there. Got a 7th place last week. He's 7th in the standings, rolling all 7s. Take it to Vegas. We're
no kidding.
Running good.
Put the dice in your hands,
we got some run good is what we'll call it. So Kenny's doing it, and look at the PTM posse on Periscope here, just giving him all kinds of props. Really cool stuff. Really cool to have him part of the posse and running that car.
Well, he's our biggest supporter, and I'd like to think we're his biggest supporter outside of his girlfriend, of course. But it's a lot of fun. We've said that every week. Never imagined how much fun it would be to be a part of this thing, and it's awesome.
So this week, usually there's a Periscope. I think I saw a note from Kenny earlier. He said there's not going to be a Periscope this week, so we'll just have to take his word for his next finish. Get you up there in that top 6, Kenny, and see what we can do.
Heck yeah, get us another top 10. Maybe you can sneak out a top 5. That'd be pretty cool.
We're introducing some new, what do we call it, segments this week.
Maybe we can solicit some help if y'all don't like the way we've named a segment, but we want to try to name a lot of our segments.
Yeah.
So you guys know what you can expect.
Right. You know what to expect when you turn on the PTM podcast. You know that you're going to get an update on the Kenny Smith car. You know we're going to talk about some car number at the beginning. You know we're going to talk about beer. I mean,
that's part of it.
Come on.
That's part of it. That's funny you mentioned that. At a happy hour the other day, a couple of friends of mine started joking and joshing about the fact that I have a podcast, and maybe they heard one where I may have been a little bit inebriated, and my former hiring manager, now drinking buddy, said, "Well, I mean, they opened the show with what you drinking, so like you kind of got to expect that it's a lot of the conversation's alcohol fueled." So, like, at least you get it. He's a smart person. He wouldn't have hired me if he wasn't. Let's put it that way. No.
Well, sometimes it's the first beer I crack. Sometimes it's not, is what we'll say.
Exactly.
So we're calling these segments, first segment, we're calling it Tear Down.
Calling it the Tear Down.
We're tearing it down. Tearing it down from last week. We're going to take
good acapella.
Yeah, it was. Had a little harmony there. And after that, after you tear down, it's time to go next week. We're going to gas up.
You got to gas it right back up.
So we're going to tear it down from last week. We're going to gas up for next week. And here we go.
We are going to Bristol. Sorry to jump in.
It's all good.
Yes.
Got a question from the PTM posse there. Are you going to Bristol? Yes.
C_48.
Yeah, yes. Shout out. Good deal. Tear down. First thing we're going to tear down is the trucks.
How about that guy?
At Iowa?
William
we
Byron.
talked about one racetrack in Iowa. We're going to another one.
God almighty. William Byron. I don't know what else to say. Kid's from Charlotte. He's got a local religious affiliated sponsor, a university on his hood, so good for him to have full boat sponsorship. Good for him to get recognized by Kyle Busch, to get to drive a Kyle Busch racing truck. But dude's won 3 times in 9 starts. He's already – his glide path is – right now it's got a curve in it. Mm-hmm. It's going up so fast.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's one thing they all talk about, you got to have the right equipment, and you got to have the money behind that, and I understand all that. And our friends have written some pieces on that, as a matter of fact, in the last week. So we're going to try to get Tommy Joe Martins back on the podcast to give us a tear down of his piece there. But a lot of it is getting in the right equipment, getting the money to back that, and he's got that, right? Now he's got that when he's in this Kyle Busch car. Now it's a matter of driver talent. Now you got to run out front.
Right, and you can't tear the thing up.
Can't tear the thing up. Got to take good care of it.
Can't run into people.
Got to have good strategy. Everything's got to come together, and it's really coming together for William Byron. Really neat to see what's going on with him.
I think it's so neat because we haven't seen this, really. We talked about Chase Elliott and what he did. He ran a few truck races. He won one at a road course, and there's no Cup guys there, which there aren't usually a whole lot of Cup guys in trucks, but he had some good runs. He didn't do what William Byron's doing.
Right.
Now, he might have been jet set for Xfinity Series all along, and so they were just kind of goofing off until his age got right. That's probably the case. But we haven't seen somebody come in and do what William Byron's doing, which tells me that he's got to be in an Xfinity car by the end of the series. Not full time, but they got to get him in one. Be like, okay, can we do this next year? Can we do this next year?
Right.
I mean, he can't run trucks again next year.
No.
I wouldn't think. I mean, that is the Richard Childress model, but neither one of those two
Yeah, I mean, they're still not winning like
three
this.
races in 9 tries.
They hadn't run
33%. I mean, it's no Casey Kane winning 5 out of 6 and then a second place. No, I'm kidding. That was a whole different situation. But, yeah, this kid is on the fast track to an Xfinity ride, and he may not be in that series very long either.
Let's keep tearing it down. Let's tear down Xfinity.
Why don't we?
That was a fun race. And the reason,
and it's weird because we had a driver lead 80% of the laps,
right,
or close to it,
right,
and it's not quite 80.
183 at 250.
183 at 250. That's so I exaggerated a little bit. Apologize for that. About 70% of the laps. Still really cool and fun because of who it was, and the fact that there was lots of good racing behind him.
Sure, and. And of course we're talking about Sam Hornish Jr. here. He hasn't raced since November. They said 200-something days since he's been green flag racing
days,
in a NASCAR race. And so he comes out and leads 183. Again, he's in real good equipment there, but you still got to perform. And
that's the same car they got beat by a team car the week before at Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Busch, master of the Xfinity Series, got beat the week before by Daniel Suarez. Now, Daniel Suarez's team car could have been they just put a 19 number on an 18 car, and he just was better that day. But still, I mean, that's a big deal for some. Sam hadn't been in a car for 8 months,
mm-hmm.
and he goes out and leads most of the race, kicks everybody's butt.
It was, and like you said, it's who it was. If we were talking about Brad Keselowski, who was the only Cup driver in that race, we'd probably be pissed, right?
Well, we would have a different. The conversation would change. It would be like,
that's not a feel good
story. I get that team needs a Cup set of data, a Cup driver set of data in order to progress.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the one to do it at because there's nothing like Iowa that's in the Cup.
Right.
None of those. I mean, they want to say, well, it's close to Richmond. No, it's not. No,
like in length?
Yeah,
maybe,
I mean, it's 7/8 versus 3/4. It's much flatter than Richmond. Richmond is different than anything we do because it's banked 24 degrees, it's 3/4 of a mile, and it's sweeping straight away with the start-finish is almost all the way down there in turn 4. It's way different. So, I don't know. Let's not compare anything to Richmond.
Sure. So, what I thought was cool, I think it's a great argument for the people who talk about how the Cup drivers shouldn't be in Xfinity necessarily. I thought it was really cool to see those Xfinity guys going at each other. Brad Keselowski was kind of up there a little bit, but he wasn't really contending. I guess nobody else was contending except for Sam Hornish. But I thought it was really neat to see that, and I think something that I'd like to continue seeing. So I'm slowly getting into camp. Don't let the Cup drivers race in this race.
I don't think it would be a bad rule. If Cup is taking the weekend off, I would be totally fine with them saying, and that means all Cup drivers take the weekend off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, Dale Jr. went to Germany.
Yeah,
drinking beer.
Folks were everywhere. I mean, I saw that. I can't remember exactly where Casey went, but I know his spotter went back home to Seattle area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Jimmy was posting pictures of them fishing out somewhere.
Jimmy's posting pictures of fishing. He's got his wife on a bike, and she's kicking butt, and he's propping her up. That's really cool. People, of course, that stirs up the whoever's, but
yeah.
So take the weekend off, have some fun, enjoy the fact. I mean, I get the Tony Stewart mentality. I want to race every day until I say I don't want to race that day.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of them, it never changes. They just want to race every day. And, okay, that's fine, but there's lots of other races to go to. Kyle Larson went and got in a sprint car.
Mm-hmm.
I think Casey actually turned some laps somewhere.
Sure.
I don't know if he actually raced like an actual race, but I know he got in a car and turned some laps. So it's like, he probably was just sizing up his own KKR team car for somebody. Maybe they had a new guy jumping in or something. But, I mean, you want to race? Cool. Let's just not do it on the national touring level.
So I know it's polarizing here, but we did run that race on Sunday, which is a little strange to be racing it on
Bullspit!
to be racing it on Father's Day like that. Like I said before,
ratings and TV.
Well, like I said before, I personally was on my duff waiting on ribs to cook, and so I had an excellent time watching the race while it was going on, but I understand other people necessarily didn't have the time to tune in and all that, but a Saturday night race, that would be fun. Well, they probably can't do night at Iowa. I don't know. But
yeah, they can. They run the trucks.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
I mean, it used to be a Saturday night race, and they used to go home on Sunday morning and get, one day off.
Yeah.
I get why TV would want to have it on Sunday because you have less competition, or do you? It's the final day of the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I DVR'd it. You didn't get my rating.
Right.
Well, I guess you get whatever the new DVR rating thing is.
C3 rating.
Yeah.
Guess who's in that?
Which is, you should get a rating because I did watch it, but I watched it on fast forward. I didn't watch 1 second of your commercials.
Right.
Fox,
right.
by the way. So, what are we doing? Why wouldn't we? I don't know why we wouldn't do that doubleheader thing where you run, except for flip-flop it. Like, so in Atlanta, we ran Xfinity race Saturday afternoon, and we ran the truck race later.
Yep.
I don't know why you wouldn't flip-flop it and run the truck race early afternoon
good
and then run the
show.
Xfinity race under the lights, which is what we used to do. However, it's hard to say whether or not maybe being in the day puts on a better race. I don't know. At that track, with that tire combination, I don't know that it's necessarily a requirement. Like we have seen at some places where it's like, oh, we got rained out and we had a day race, but holy cow, what a race it put on.
Yep.
And then you race at night and it's like, oh, there's only one groove.
Yep.
So it's the same stuff we had before, even though we have a bit different racing package. So
you wrote a note on here that over on our friends over on the Door Bumper Clear, well, maybe it's friends one way, I don't know, but on the Door Bumper Clear podcast, talked about body damage being advantageous. Curious what the
Brett talked a
storyline
lot
is
about
there.
that, and so did TJ. They both did, and I remember when it happened, and I remember seeing it. I didn't really make the connection myself, not being a competitor. He got whomped in the rear.
Who did?
On pit road, Sam.
Okay.
Sam Hornish. And all it really did is cause the right rear quarter panel to buckle a little bit. Mm-hmm. So behind, from the back of the right wheel tire to the bumper, had a swell.
Okay.
Like a, what do you call
concave?
it? Concave? Yes. Like a concave swell.
Okay.
Which obviously is going to help side bite.
Sure.
And then they also said that for whatever reason, his left side skirt between the wheel wells was flared out more than everybody else's. Mm-hmm. Whether that was intentional or not, what they were saying was he was already going to be hard to pass because of the package they have. With those two aero advantages, there was no way anybody was going to pass him.
Yeah.
So not to take away from the fact that he led 183 laps and won the race, but he did have significant advantages. And it's not cheating because they were both race incidents that caused them.
Yeah. Well, it's a race incident when you slam into the wall at the at the end of the race in order to, I don't know, hide
it's after
something
the
maybe.
checkered flag, though.
I guess,
it's
yeah.
cool down lap incident at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That thing got away from me.
I mean, they're not doing nearly as much of that weird stuff in the Xfinity series.
Sure. hip checking the car either, and maybe they are. I don't know.
Well, they're still very much that whole. I can't believe I still can't log into Twitter. Anyway, I should not be distracted by this. They're not doing nearly as much of that weird stuff in Xfinity series. Sure. They still have to worry about ride height to an extent, so they're worried about shock, relaxation, and all that stuff.
Well, and they're worried about just getting to the next week too.
Absolutely, they are.
Some of these guys, they're just racing for the next race. So let's keep on tearing it down. One more thing to tear down here. I saw this headline. I thought it was a cool headline. So they've somebody, I don't know if it's Forbes or whoever, somebody named the top 50 most marketable athletes. And athletes, by the way, so that's cool because that means they put a NASCAR driver in the top 50 of those.
Exactly.
Among them are, Cristiano Ronaldo, Usain Bolt, Steph Curry, Cam Newton, etc. And number 50 on that list was none other than Chase Elliott.
He's so personable. He speaks so well. He's got the deep Southern articulate accent. And he's so good.
Young and that good, yep.
The fact that Napa is his sponsor should tell everyone. After everybody said, oh, well, after the Truex deal at Richmond, Napa said, oh, you know what, we decided our money doesn't really work in NASCAR anyway, so we're leaving. And they show up like 18 months later with Chase, full boat in 2 years of Xfinity, and then full boat in Cup. It's like, hey, you know how much money they're spending on him? It's somewhere between $25 and $30 million to be on the hood of that car.
Yep.
And guess what Chase is doing?
Marketing.
Earning every penny of it.
Yep.
Earning every penny of it.
Most marketable athletes. So I thought that was really cool. That's above Dale Jr. That's above... I shouldn't say that. I didn't see the full list to see if Dale Jr. was on it. But
I thought they said Chase was the only one in the top 50 that drove for NASCAR.
I thought so, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's. I thought that was really neat and interesting that they chose him. I think, obviously age and all that has to do with it. So, really cool. Well, we tore it down. And speaking of Napa, let's go to Napa Valley. And
why don't we?
Let's gas up. We're gassing up this time. We tore it down.
We're going to gas it right up. Head into the weekend.
Head into Sonoma.
I think I've said this on Twitter a couple of times. I may have said it on the podcast. The only race, how did I say it? I look forward to Sonoma more than any race that we're not going to in person.
That's a good way to put it.
This is my favorite race that we haven't been to.
Yeah, there you go, the goosebumps.
Exactly.
It's like, that means we got to go.
Well, there's so many things to do. We may be able to get half our buddies who aren't super NASCAR fans to go because their wives want to go drink some wine.
That's true. Send them out on that. Or send them to the racetrack. If you're the esteemed producer of the Frizz 11, she's going to be sitting right there at the racetrack drinking out of her Crevassier, but
we'll all have a case
chalice
of wine we intend to take home that might get drank during the race. But
true.
Yeah, I would think we could convince them to do it. The ones with kids would be a little more challenging, but you could definitely get the wifeys to go out to Napa Valley.
Yep.
If you did it the right way.
Yep.
And this is the right time of year to be in Napa Valley.
Quick question for you before we gas it up on Sonoma. What's your favorite wine?
My favorite wine?
Your favorite wine.
Golly. You know what? I'm very guilty of drinking inexpensive Merlots and Old Vine Zinfandels. That's my two favorite styles. I'll drink a Shiraz every now and again or a Cab Sav. Sauvignon. But mostly, on my counter right now at home next to my handle of Bullet Rye is a black box of Merlot.
The black box, the good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I was thinking about it myself, and I was like, well, and I'm fairly similar. I think the properties of like a deep red like that, like a Merlot or a Cab or something, is similar to the things we like about beer. That sort of bitterness.
I want to taste
offset
something.
By the little bit of sweetness, some taste there. Exactly.
Yeah, I want to taste a little something.
But I thought, you know what? Half a drinking wine is social too, and I've never had more fun than drinking a Franzia box that we've tore open and playing slap bag.
Oh, slap bag. Yeah, slap bag gets for real.
So I'm going to go with the box or bag of Franzia wine for mine, or a bottle of Boone's Farm that we cannonball before going and doing something stupid.
Well, I mean, we're talking bum wine for sure.
Bum wine.
Yeah, and shout out to @bumwine.
Bunwine Bob.
Yeah, Bobcat. He's got a podcast where they talked about Four Loko last week. But yeah, I mean, heck yeah, I'll never forget those. Hey, let's cannonball this fifth the Arbor Mist peach
Peach
before the party starts. Come on, man! All right,
now I've
this
never
tastes good. Boone's Farm, the apple. Was it Cherry Apple Hill or whatever? Or what was it called?
Well, they had
Apple Orchard Hill.
There was
something.
a blue one. There was the pink
the blue
one.
Hawaiian was a little scary.
Yeah, that one get after you.
If it wasn't clear, I wasn't too sure about it.
And I don't think I've ever had I mean, I've done it with friends and we've had fun, but I don't think I've ever had a fond memory of Mad Dog 2020. So we're just going to leave that there.
No, Mad Dog is out.
You want to stay away. So let's gas up this race. I mean, this is like wild card stuff, really. I mean,
anybody can win.
Anybody can win. I think it's a great opportunity for the guys who haven't won and the guys who aren't going to win another one either to step in and do something.
Well, it's a great testament to how good the shops have gotten at building a right-in lefty car, and a great testament to how the drivers have really focused on this kind of racing, because Kyle Busch won last year. That was the first time in 7 years we'd had a repeat winner. And people used to talk about, when we got into the sport, well, Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart win all the road course races. No, the hell they don't. Not anymore.
Right. And you're not bringing in the ringers either anymore. You don't see Boris Said and Carl Long and those type of guys coming in and dominating the race. Ron Fellows and dominating this race.
Carpentier. Yep. The thing is, in Cup, they've never won.
Exactly.
Ringers have never won in a Cup race, y'all. So let's just chill out on the ringers. And this year there's only one, but he's like a young kid who's getting in a really crappy car. Mm-hmm. So there's no chance. Like, that's the thing is.
Well, that's just try to get the best finish you can. Maybe you can improve on the average or something.
Yes, for sure. Maybe help their average finish. Maybe get them a purse that puts them over a particular bump they needed in terms of revenue. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, these guys are so good at road course racing that you have to be in a top 10 car to get a top 10 finish, unless there's some really weird stuff that goes on with gas.
Yeah. I mean, or you can make up for it a little bit with driver talent, I think. This is where you can. Yeah. Kurt Busch, or there's a few other. I mean, Tony can have a chance if he gets the right equipment. He's got a chance.
I think Tony's got a chance anyway, because he's got a top 10 car. Whether he's getting top 10s or not is up to him and his team. But he's a top 10 driver in a top 10 car.
Yep. So,
I mean, it's hard to pick anymore. Like, people are like, who do you want to pick? I don't know. We're going to get to that segment later, and we're going to go, I'm going to be fishing into the bag, looking at all the numbers I pick out and go, all right, maybe that one. But, I mean, that's, I think, the reason why that Sonoma is so much fun to watch now is, okay, you have a ton of action on the track. There's a ton of passing. There's a ton of bumping, which people, everybody that used to love Bristol should love Sonoma.
Right.
Because Sonoma is the Bristol of short tracks, the old Bristol, where you had to move somebody to get a position. You don't have to, but that's what happens a lot.
Well, turn 11. A
25-mile-an-hour apex in a hairpin turn. Everything happened down there.
Right. 180-degree turn, and that's where the bumping happens. And guys spinning each other out at 25 miles an hour
right.
in a NASCAR race.
You'll take out 7 cars, none of them be messed up. They just all spun out.
Yeah, and they're all pissed.
And everybody just...
double birds.
Number ones everywhere. All of y'all.
Right. So looking forward to it. And this is the... Watkins Glen is kind of the super speedway of road courses.
Yeah, Watkins Glen is Dover.
Right. And this is the, I don't know what to call it. This one's technical. This one's a bit different like that.
Watkins Glen is more about getting back to the gas.
Yep.
Sonoma is more about can you slow down better? And we used to really kind of look skeptically upon, really, we're trying to figure out who can brake the best.
Who can mash the brake
pedal. I
pedal.
thought racing was about going fast. Well, then we started to learn about what it takes to go fast and get off a corner, and it's how well did you slow down?
Right. First time you go to like a Victory Lane karting or some other karting too, that'll beat it right in your head when dude zooms around you and you go, I got the same equipment he does. I was in his car last time. What's going on?
Right. The first time you hold it wide open and try to turn it and go kabang right into the wall, you go, oh, I do have to slow down some. Okay.
Right. And so the battles are in those turns, are in while they're braking, like you're saying. So like you said, really looking forward to this one. And I think I can agree, the one that I look forward to the most that I hadn't been to, and that I'm not going to this year.
Absolutely. I mean, Sonoma's. If it wasn't West Coast, I would be demanding that be the next racetrack we visit. If we haven't,
for sure.
The fact that it takes a little bit more. Obviously it's an expensive plane ticket and all that stuff. We'll figure it out.
We'll get there. We know that
we're going to go, but it could be easier to do Pocono or Michigan.
Sure. You ready to do some picks?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Give it 1 second. You know how to do it.
Driver! Start your engine!
And by the way, you just mentioned Pocono. Of course, our driver start your engines guy is that was at Pocono, and he's wearing a Pocono race shirt when he's doing it, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, cool. Good.
Yep.
And we'll be right back there in like 3 or 4 weeks.
So there's no telling who won last time unless you happen to remember, because that was 2 weeks ago, and I just don't remember that long ago what happened.
Michigan?
I picked Junior, and he crashed. So.
I picked Truex, and he crashed.
Oh, well.
So
go ahead, then. I think Junior crashed first.
Actually, I think Truex crashed first, but Junior
crashed
worse.
harder.
Yeah. So he got a worse finish.
Yeah.
I get to pick Truex. Okay.
Wait, you get to pick Truex?
No, I mean I get to pick first.
Because
Truex first?
Who?
Word association?
Oh, you picked Truex. It's in the books now.
Well, it's not a bad pick.
Well, no.
But I don't.
No,
that's not who I'm going to pick. We haven't seen Brad Keselowski win at Infineon yet, so I'm going with the.
We haven't seen him win this year yet either.
No, he's already won twice.
Or sorry, not. Who was I just thinking about? Sorry, that was my bad. Brain fart.
Yeah, he won at Vegas and doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Pocono. I don't know. He's won twice.
Sorry.
I am picking Brad Keselowski to win
choice.
at Sonoma this year.
Good choice.
How are you picking?
How am I picking? I thought about this one. Brad Keselowski was actually on my list of contenders. I'm going not as dark horse, but my pick is Kyle Larson.
I like it.
Kyle
Big
Larson
fan.
getting it. Yep.
He's from that part of California too. There's going to
and
be a lot of people there
he's raced
to
a
watch
lot
him.
of road. He's
willing to hang the right rear out, and what we've seen in the last few years is the dirt guys actually pick up the road racing pretty well.
Sure.
Great pick. Am I making a dark horse pick?
Go for it.
I'm making so I don't want to go against what I said last week, that Chase is no longer a dark horse. So I'm not going to pick Chase because I don't think that's fair. I think he could be a frontline pick.
I think he can be too this race, yeah.
He's already proven that he can race in a truck, although, I mean, the Ty Dillon fans will obviously that'll bring up some rubble in them. But dark horse. You know what? I'm going to pick Jamie McMurray. He hadn't won, but he's really good on road courses.
Mm-hmm. Tell me if I'm allowed to do this. Going with Dinger. Am I allowed to pick Dinger as a dark horse? Or is he another?
Tough. That's tough. I think it's okay because their team hasn't shown the consistency.
Typically, our dark horse is like a C driver.
Winning
or
at Watkins
rookie.
Glen is not the same thing as winning at Sonoma, and that's why we talked about the fact that they're very different racetracks.
Exactly.
There aren't a whole lot of guys that have one road course win at Sonoma and one road course win at Watkins Glen, and that's the only thing they did in their career. His name's Juan Pablo Montoya. But other than him, nobody's. I mean, like there's so much different discipline that I don't think because I think AJ should be spoken of as somebody who has a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Clint Boyer, looking at the Periscope here, is absolutely a dark horse because he's in a really crappy car. If he was in a good car, you wouldn't be able to call him dark horse.
Next year.
Because he's won there, and he's really good at road course racing.
Next year. That might be – I need to write that down for a year from now.
Write that down for a year from now.
Pick Clint Boyer.
When he's racing Tony Stewart's car, Clint Boyer, top 5 driver at Sonoma.
Yep. Well, we've reached the end.
Remember when Kurt Busch almost won in the car that Clint Boyer's in?
I thought about
with a broken freaking track bar or whatever it was. Still finished 3rd. That was amazing.
That was fun to watch. I've reached the end of the notes here. I think we're about ready to shut her down.
Are we done?
Let's talk about next week. Next week, I think we're both traveling or something, aren't we?
So I'm in Mooresville. So PETM Posse, if you're in the North Carolina upstate area, Charlotte, whatever, I'm in Mooresville basically all week. I'm driving up Saturday, because I don't want to miss one lap of the race on Sunday. I asked my boss if I could go a day ahead of time.
That's a fan right there.
Because I don't want to miss one lap of Sonoma, and I want to get my, my scanner dialed in and all that good stuff. JRM's on the list. Penske's on the list. If anybody's in the area, I don't know how much free time I'll have after work hours. That's normal 8 to 5 training all day long bull crap. But if I get a chance to go to some of those places, that's what I want to do. Penske is very high on the list, as is Junior Motorsports.
Absolutely. I will be right back in Silver Spring, Maryland, home of, if I hadn't mentioned it on the podcast in the last 15 minutes,
seafood restaurant,
right? The luxurious and exquisite Red Lobster.
Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Cheddar Bay biscuits, baby. So let's start mashing this down. You know what to do. There's that cup sitting there of beer flavored jelly beans, and
I
we'll
needed
just
a sugar rush.
Let
me make sure I don't get like
Guinness Extra Stout didn't already do it for you.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hopefully the jelly beans will do it.
All right, got jelly beans.
My turn.
We're closing this thing out. You can get his jelly beans. I'm gonna chew on this.
There we go.
Yeah,
he's got the fart gack out.
Hopefully, yeah. Maybe I can get over there on Tuesday to JRM and interrupt the Door Bumper Clear podcast.
Well, that would be fun.
A little bit gaseous over here.
Oh,
that was bad.
Yeah.
I may have to go wipe my rear after that one.
Yeah, check your.
All right, we're all done here.
Oh man! Oh man! What are you doing?
Yeah,
y'all.
Apparently, I had some Waffle chili for lunch.
This is the part where we just go completely off the rails and just fly off everything. So, anyway, before we get too deep, be sure to follow us at PETM Podcast. If you want one of our famous stickers, you see it right here. If you're on the
that sticker right
Periscope
there on the board there is available
for free. So get your sticker. All you got to do, just tweet us, DM us, email us, go to the website, PETMpodcast.com. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play Music.
Any way you can figure out how to communicate with us.
Yeah, just type PETM Podcast into the old Google box, and you will find it one way or another to watch us. I'm Tailgate Mayor, at Tailgate Mayor.
I'm Pregame Engineer, at Pregame ENG.
We will talk to y'all next week.
Thumbs up, y'all.